This is my perfected hunter build that I am taking into contest mode Epic Desert Perpetual. And if you are also interested in trying out the epic mode of Desert Perpetual raid, I highly recommend you try out this hunter build as well. But even if you're not concerned with contest mode Desert Perpetual or even raiding in general, this build is still absolutely spectacular for absolutely any facet of the game. It's incredibly strong, pumps out insanely high damage, and is just in general a blast to play. Starting out with the build, we are going with the Lucky Pantaloons. And by the way, I'm pretty proud of this fashion. I think it looks pretty good. I'll make sure to include the fashion setup if you would also like to mimic and mirror this fashion. So we've got the Lucky Pantaloons. Everyone, for the most part, knows what these do at this point. For a short time after being drawn, hand cannons ready faster, are more accurate, and each hit against a combatant increases hand cannon damage. So if we look at the specifics of this, and don't worry, we will show off this build in actual content. We'll test it against actual bosses and whatnot. I just like starting things out in the firing range because it gives a controlled environment where I can demonstrate all of these concepts. So right when you pull out a hand cannon, you get a legally modded holster for 5 seconds, and once you start shooting targets, it will stack up, increasing the damage of subsequent hand cannon shots. Thankfully, if you don't actually hit anything, so if you just pull out the hand cannon on accident and then put it right away, you will not go on cooldown with a legally modded holster. You only get the out of luck buff if you actually start accruing a significant amount of stacks. I believe you have to go past 8 stacks, it seems. And so with Lucky Pants, you'll get 45% increased direct impact damage against combatants per stack, which caps out at 450% bonus damage at 10 stacks. And after a legally modded holster expires or upon stowing, only if it is at 7 stacks or higher, you'll get out of luck for 10 seconds, which prevents you from re-procking a legally modded holster. Now with this build, we've set it up specifically so that we can still pump out massive damage even when we are on that out of luck cooldown, waiting for it to come back up so we can pull the hand cannon back out and go ahead and get that illegally modded holster X10 again and continue ripping damage. But before we talk about what those specific other elements of our DPS rotation are going to be, I first want to talk about this hand cannon in particular because it is absolutely insane with Lucky Pants. It is the Agape or Agape, however you say it, hand cannon, which comes from Kepler, which is nice because you can focus it. If you go to Caldera and you talk to the little console, you can specifically focus and get this hand cannon, which means you can go run a mythic campaign mission and get a nice tier 5 drop of this, assuming if you're, I think, 350 power or higher. So the role on this hand cannon you're looking for specifically is rewind rounds, so that when the magazine is empty, however many hits you landed on the target, it'll refund. I want to say it's like 75% of the magazine, which effectively just extends the length of your magazine so that you can get way more mileage out of your illegally modded holster times 10. Since you only have the buff for 5 seconds, can't really be affording to reload it and pop another thing in there and keep shooting, because then your buff will be expired by the time you've reloaded it. So this basically turns your magazine from 14 rounds into, if you're landing all your shots, it's like 22, 24, maybe even 26 rounds, which lets you fire for the entirety that illegally modded holster is up. You're going to pair this then with Precision Instrument, where dealing sustained damage significantly increases precision damage, just overall makes the hand cannon significantly stronger. So if we're looking at Precision Instrument specifically, if I land 2 headshots, they do 22 damage a piece, but if I get that Precision Instrument stacked all the way up, then my headshots go from 22 damage a piece to 35 damage a piece. And that is also going to stack with a legally modded holster. So if I pull out the hand cannon with a legally modded holster ready, I get rewind rounds, giving me a larger mag. I've got Precision Instrument increasing the damage. And once we're at times 10, we're hitting for approximately 189 damage per shot, which up from the base of 22 damage per shot is pretty significant. Now, like we said, you are going to run into situations in your damage rotation where you're, of course, going to be done mag dumping, your illegally modded holster goes on cooldown, and you're out of luck. So what do we want to do for damage after that? Well, we're actually going to switch to the Mint Retrograde Rocket Pulse Rifle, specifically also with rewind rounds, so that again, you never have to reload the gun. It'll automatically reload itself as you hit enemies. And bait and switch for a 35% damage bonus, assuming that you've done damage with both of your other weapons. And obviously, we've done damage with our hand cannon right before we start doing damage with our bait and switch Mint Retrograde. But how are we going to weave our heavy ammo weapon into the mix? Because we need to do both damage with our heavy ammo weapon and our energy weapon to proc bait and switch on Mint Retrograde. For your heavy ammo weapon, you kind of have 3 choices. If you're looking for the raid specifically, hunters are the best best possible class to assign Tractor Cannon to in this raid. Ideally, you don't want your Warlocks or your Titans to be on Tractor Cannon because you want them generating as much super energy as possible, and they're just going to generate a lot more super energy if they're on a heavy ammo weapon that actually deals damage, and you want them having their supers up as frequently as possible because the Well of Radiance and Thunder Crashes are going to lead to a lot more overall damage and survivability during a DPS phase than any super that you as the hunter could do in the raid in the current meta. Tractor Cannon is a great pick here because you're enabling your entire team to do 30% bonus damage for 10 seconds. And even outside of raiding content, this can be exceptionally good, especially for tanky targets, because you're also enabling yourself to do 30% bonus damage as well. So the way this rotation would look is you'll hit the enemy with a Tractor Cannon so that they're debuffed by 30%, specifically on tanky enemies. We'll pull out our hand cannon and just absolutely blast the target until we see a legally modded holster go away and we get out of luck. Pull out the Tractor Cannon again to hit another shot, and then we'll start frying him with our bait and switch, which you can see is active in the bottom left, Mint Retrograde, until out of luck goes away, meaning that our hand cannon is ready to stack a legally modded holster again, and then we can go ahead and pull out the Tractor Cannon again, hit him with the Tractor Cannon, and then start ripping some more illegally modded holster Lucky Pan shots with the hand cannon. Alternatively, if you don't want to go the Tractor Cannon angle, you could go with Finality's Augur. It's a very strong overall damage weapon, total damage weapon in the current meta of the game right now. You just go ahead and shoot the Rune Scribe turret up in the air, mark whatever tanky target you want to hit, and then it'll go ahead and rain down, and then you go ahead and put that Finality's Augur back in your pocket, and then go ahead and go on with your hand cannon Mint Retrograde rotation as usual. Alternatively, if you don't like either of those, you can go with the Parasite Grenade Launcher, which is really fun for this build for two reasons. The reason number one is because as you're working your way up to DPS phase, the Worm's Hunger perk is going to give you stacks as you defeat enemies with other weapons that will make the next shot of Parasite do significantly increased damage. Specifically, if we come to the Destiny Data Compendium, Worm's Hunger grants 10% increased damage per stack, up to 200% increased damage at 20 stacks. But that's not all. It also increases the damage of our hand cannon and our Mint Retrograde, because receiving self-damage from the explosion is going to grant the Worm byproduct buff, which increases the damage from your other weapons by 15% for 10 seconds. And that's, of course, going to stack with Bait and Switch, that's going to stack with a legally modded holster, that's going to stack with Precision Instrument, it'll stack with everything. And this thing has a very large explosion radius, so if you're anywhere near the boss, you're absolutely going to proc that and take advantage of it. And you don't need to worry too much about getting damaged by it, since typically in raiding situations, you will be in a Well of Radiance during DPS phase from a Warlock. If you are using this outside of a raiding situation and you don't have some healing on deck, you do want to be a little bit more careful with the Parasite splash damage. Maybe opt for the Finality's Augur or Tractor Cannon instead, but still very, very strong. Moving on, let's talk about our subclass. We're going with the 3-shot Golden Gun super, specifically because it is the best orb generation super in the entire game. With 3 Golden Gun shots, if you land all 3 of them precision shots on the boss, they make 2 orbs of power apiece, aka 6 total orbs of power from 1 super, which, don't get me wrong, it's not benefiting you too much, but for the Titans in your fire team that are spamming Thunder Crashes on the boss, for the Warlocks on your fire team that are spamming Wells of Radiance to give both you orbs so you can continue using this, and giving your Titans orbs so that they can continue Thunder Crashing, it is just an absolute ridiculous amount of super energy for everyone else on your team. So you're playing kind of a bit of a support playstyle while still doing loads of damage with your weapons themselves. So in Gambler's Dodge, so that we can get our melee ability back whenever we use it near enemies, nowadays you only need 50 in the melee stat to get a full melee charge, assuming that you dodge near enemies now. Going Threaded Spike for the melee, specifically because Sever is just incredibly strong in contest mode content, being able to cut the damage of any enemy basically in half on demand, and through one of our fragments, this will be able to actually increase the damage of our super. Again, I know we're not running our super specifically to deal damage, but if you can increase the damage of it, why not? Going Grapple Grenade as well, just generally speaking, an incredibly strong grenade, is able to proc both powered grenade damage and powered melee damage. Nice for mobility, nice for getting out of sticky situations, and just very, very strong. For our aspects, we're going with Ascension, 2 fragment slots. When you use your class ability, you make yourself and everyone around you amplified. Amplified is one of the strongest buffs in the entire game for survivability, not only because it gives you bonus damage resistance, but because it makes enemies less accurate towards you. It makes all your allies amplified too, which is really nice in DPS phases where there are threats. Take the Hydra encounter in Desert Perpetual, for example, when teammates have to leave the Well of Radiance to go and follow the shield so they can shoot the eyes off the shield and extend damage phase and allow everyone else to do damage. This is really cool because they're probably getting hit with harpies as they're doing that. But if you gave them amplified, when you use this on the entire raid team while you're all puddled up, they run out and get amplified, they'll take way less damage and be much safer, which is really important in a contest mode environment. For the other aspect, you can either go Stylus Executioner, which has 2 fragment slots. Generally speaking, nice for personal survivability, just because you have a lot of ways to debuff enemies, right? You can Sever with your Threaded Spike, you can Unravel with your Grapple Melee, you can Jolt with your Ascension, all that good stuff. And It just makes you invisible whenever you kill one of those debuffed enemies. And obviously, if you're playing in a raid, any of your allies' debuffs also work. However, you could alternatively, if you would like, go with Threaded Spectre instead for an extra fragment slot, and then obviously your class ability activation will make a clone. These clones don't really last too long in contest mode content though. They kind of get one shot pretty quickly. It won't give you nearly as much aggro pull as something like Stylish Executioner would, because Stylish Executioner makes you invisible for a little bit. Nothing's gonna touch you when you're like that. Threaded Spectre still pulls away a little bit of aggro, and it's nice because it pulls the aggro away from your teammates as well, not just you, but for significantly less time. The extra fragment slot is nice though. As far as fragments go, protection, bonus melee stat, and it's going to make us a little bit more durable. Hope so that when we have an elemental buff, our class ability regenerates more quickly. So that's invisibility, that's going to be amplified, which is from Ascension a lot, and kind of feeds into itself, right? Because if we have higher class ability regeneration, then we have more uptime on our Gambler's Dodge, which our class ability energy is what we need to use specifically to proc Ascension, or to use Ascension rather. Kind of feeds into itself a little bit. Faceted Purpose makes it so that whenever we pick up an Orb of Power, we're going to get Restoration due to the fact that we have a Solar Super on, so nice for the survivability of the build. And then finally, if you want to go more into the damage of the build, Faceted Courage makes it so that our Solar, Arc, and Void abilities are going to deal increased damage to targets afflicted with darkness debuffs. Sever, from Threaded Spike as an example, would count as that. So whenever we're getting ready to shoot our Golden Gun at an enemy, we want to make sure that we throw the spike at them first so they're severed, and then our 3 shots of Golden Gun are going to do 10% increased damage. As far as a 5th fragment goes, if you do decide to go the Threaded Spectre route, or if you would like to replace Faceted Courage in favor of some more survivability, you could go with Facet of Dawn. Can be decent in non-raiding situations. The reason I don't like using this in a raiding situation is because in a DPS phase, you're pretty much always in a well of radiance, especially in contest mode. So you're always going to be radiant. You don't really need a way to make yourself radiant. Alternatively, you could go with the Facet of Blessing if you want a bit more survivability, where melee final blows are going to start health regeneration. This counts for both the Threaded Spike melee final blows and your grapple melee final blows. So you have 2 different ways to proc this. Again, you can either put this in slot 5 right here if you want Threaded Spectre, or you can replace the Facet of Courage for it. You get a little bit less damage on your Golden Gun, but you'll have more survivability. Thanks to today's sponsor, G2A.com, a marketplace for digital goods where you can safely save some money while shopping for your favorite games. But please always remember that we live in a very scary world these days when it comes to powerful AI tools and predatory scam practices. Deepfake voices and videos, AI-generated phishing sites, and even personalized lures. Even though platforms like G2A.com uses systems and procedures to prevent scams, remember to always be vigilant. Be careful with too good to be true offers or requests to share your sensitive data like passwords, as G2A.com will never ask for these. So be sure to always stay safe while you go ahead and open the gate to adventure using the link in the description below to start expanding your game library on a budget. Thanks to G2A.com. Now let's get back to the video. As far as mods go, even though not swap is a modifier on the contest mode raid, you are still actually allowed to swap certain things. And we'll talk about that in a bit right now, but I have 2 different mod setups for you. One is for like the ad clear phase, mechanics phase, ammo generation phase, and then the other I'm going to show you is specifically for the boss DPS phase, one of which is focused more so on survivability, ability uptime, and ammo generation, and the other is focused all out on damage. So on the helmet, you're going with a heavy ammo finder, a special ammo finder, and a harmonic siphon so that your hand cannon is going to make orbs of power on weapon multi-kills. Down on the gloves, we got a harmonic loader. It's going to increase the reload speed of your solar weapons, better uptime on your hand cannon, and then we've got impact induction and focusing strike, which is going to give us grenade and class ability energy respectively anytime we deal damage with a powered melee attack. Again, that's for both Threaded Spike and our grapple melee, so we have 2 different ways to proc that. Down on our chest piece, we're going with a concussive dampener, a resistance of choice depending on what the primary damage element of enemies in the encounter that you're in is. So for example, Korgos, you would probably want an arc resistance. If you're on the Hobgoblin encounter, you probably want a solar resistance, so on and so forth. And then a solar ammo generation. I want to talk about this mod for a little bit because I think a lot of people misunderstand how these mods work. This specifically increases the ammo generation of solar weapons. I see a lot of people a lot of times put on the elements of the mod that they want ammo for. That is not how this mod works. These mods make it so that whenever you get kills with a certain element of weapon, if the mod matches the element of that weapon, it moves your special and heavy ammo meters faster, if that makes sense, right? So because the bulk of our ad clear is going to be done with this solar hand cannon, even though our special weapon is Strand and our heavy weapon is Void, we want this mod right here to be solar because the bulk of our ad clear, aka the bulk of our meters moving, is done with a solar weapon. So we want to match the element of the weapon that we're doing ad clear with, not the weapons that we want ammo for. Where we do want to match the element of the weapons we want ammo for, of course, is down on our boots, Strand Scavenger for the Mint Retrograde, and then Void Scavenger for our tractor cannon, or if you're on Finality's Augur or Parasite, you would go with a Solar Scavenger instead here. Also going with an Absolution as well. Down on the class item, we're going with a Reaper mod, so we can make Orb of Power generation anytime we get a weapon kill after a class ability activation, powerful attraction so that our class ability scoops up all of the orbs, and a special finisher mod. The reason we're going the special finisher mod, though, is not actually because we want to use special finisher. It's so that we have an armor charge mod equipped so that when we pick up Orbs of Power, we will accrue armor charge stacks. They just won't get spent unless we do a finisher with 3 stacks. And the reason we want to have 3 stacks of armor charge just sitting there is because when we walk into the DPS phase of a boss, we are going to hit a loadout swap into mod setup number 2. And I want to know all of the weapons are the exact same, the subclasses are the exact same, all the stats are the exact same, all that good stuff. We've just moved around a couple of mods. We have subbed out both of our ammo finders for super font mods, which while armor charge is going to give us 40 bonus super stat, which will give us faster super regeneration if we're not already at 100, or if we're already above 100, it'll give us bonus super damage. And swapping to these super font mods is going to immediately activate the 3 stacks of armor charge that we have stowed because of that finisher mod that we had on. I'm going to hit a dodge, so I proc Reaper. I'll kill 1 and 2, so there's my Solar Siphon plus Reaper. And as you can see, I had 2 stacks of armor charge. Let me kill another 2 so I can make another with Siphon. And now I have 3 stacks of armor charge. So, and as you can see, they have no timer on them or anything. They're not being spent because the only armor charge mod I have is a yellow one, which means it activates on a specific usage criteria as opposed to a timer. But once I loadout swap to my surge mods and my font mods, boom, you're going to see right there that the armor charge timer has started. I start with 3 stacks, and as you can see right there on the left, I have a solar weapon boost and improved ability regeneration thanks to the surges and font mods that I have. So you basically walk into DPS phase with 45 seconds worth of super font and solar surge or whatever surges you have on. Down on the gloves, we're not changing a single thing. Down on the chest piece, we are losing the ammo generation mod for another resistance mod of whatever damage we are most scared of during the DPS phase. Down on the boots, we're losing all of our mods actually. We're doing a surge mod for our hand cannon, a surge mod for our Mint Retrograde, and obviously if you're using Parasite or Finality's Augur, the solar weapon surge mod would apply both to your hand cannon and those weapons. And then we're doing a solar holster mod, which gradually reloads your stowed solar weapons over time. The reason this is important and the reason we want to set it up like this is because anytime we're spending reloading is time we're not spending doing damage. So with our rotation, we want to make it so that when we're out of ammo on our weapons, they reload in the background when we're shooting other weapons, which is why our rotation goes tractor cannon, and then we mag dump our Agape hand cannon. And once we see out of luck, it has 2 rounds in the magazine. But as I'm beaming him with my Mint Retrograde and my out of luck timer is going down and down and down, that solar holster mod is reloading my hand cannon so that by the time I pull it back out, boom, I'm back at 8 shots. If you're a little slower with your rotations or you're mixing golden guns into your rotations, you're going to be at 12 shots or 14 shots by the time you pull it back out, and then you'll be able to do a full run mag dumping of illegally modded holster. Finally, on the class item, all we're doing is swapping that yellow armor charge mod for a time dilation so that, again, instead of having 10 seconds per stack of armor charge, we have 15 seconds, get more mileage out of them. As far as stats go, we want as high weapon stat as possible, both for bonus weapon damage on the boss and for bonus ammo generation while we're ad clearing during the mechanics phase. Next up, we want as high super stat as possible because with 100 super stat, you're going to have golden guns available every single rotation of damage that you do with your weapons, right? So as a demonstration right here, I'll go tractor cannon into threaded spike for passive courage, triple shot with the Goldie, and then I'll tractor again, hit transcendence, and then I'll blow my hand cannon and mag dump the entire hand cannon into Carl, get all the mileage I can out of that illegally modded holster until my hand cannon's out of ammo, tractor cannon again, and then as you can see with 100 super stat, we get an absolutely ludicrous amount of super energy, and this is before you even factor in any of the orbs of power that you're going to be getting from like wells, any of the orbs from thunder crashes and things of that nature. And again, by the time you're through that rotation, you're basically getting a Celestial Nighthawk Golden Gun up, or sorry, not a Celestial Nighthawk Golden Gun up, but a 3-shot Golden Gun up every single rotation that you go through everything, assuming you have 100 super stat. So you're just making so many orbs of power. After that, you want to try and get as many stat points as you can in class, grenade, and melee. It's not super important, but just having better uptime on your neutral game abilities, you're going to have more access to them. You're going to be able to use them more often, more grapples, more ascension, and more threaded spikes. Just generally feels pretty solid. And then the health set you don't care about whatsoever. Now, finally, for artifact mods, the ones we care about are going to be Diviner's Discount. All scavenger mods are discounted. We also like Threadling Proliferation. We're dealing strand weapon damage. That's the chance to spawn a Threadling, aka with our Mint Retrograde. We like Fever and Chill, where rapid precision hits with solar weapons grant Radiant. So we get Radiant for free anyway with the Agape hand cannon. Agape, Agape, I still don't know what it's called. Hack Tactics, we're dealing damage with Threadlings, increases Threadling damage, and at maximum stacks, they sell unstoppable champions. That's going to pair with Threadling Proliferation a little bit. Energy Acceleration, we're dealing sustained damage with micro missiles, causes the combatant to emit a kinetic shockwave. Mint Retrograde counts as micro missiles, so that works nicely for us. Shoulder to Shoulder, dealing sustained precision damage against combatants while near 2 or more allies, grants you damage resistance. Cauterized Darkness, where stasis or strand debuff non-boss combatants take increased solar damage from all sources. Radiant Shrapnel, we're dealing sustained weapon damage while Radiance causes that target to release solar projectiles that deal damage and scorch on impact. Pairs really nice with our Fever and Chill. And then finally, Shield Crush, while you're amplified or Radiant, your grenade recharges faster and deals increased damage. Now, finally, before we go and take this into some content that we're going to test out, I'm going to show you the nice little fashion setup. I've got the General Grievous helmets and gloves going on. I've got the Dynamo Current vest. I believe this is from Eververse. I've got the Luck of the Draw Lucky Pants ornament, which I think these are sweet. They have this like spectral feel to them, which looks really cool. And then I've got the Coronation Cloak. As far as shaders go, I've got the Envoy Togs shader on my top 4 pieces to get this nice, like, cool white, blue, black look that's got a little bit of an animation. You get this specifically for the raid. I have a short on how to unlock this on my channel if you want to go and check that out. And then I have the Mars Sunset shader on the cloak to get that nice, primarily white with a hint of blue look to match the rest of the fashion. So let's go and kill some raid bosses and put this build to the test. Go ahead, go ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
Go ahead, guys, go ahead,
and go ahead. Nice, we're good. Pull it, hit it.
Grabbing second, 3, 2, 1.
Yep.
3, 2, 1.
Grabbing in 3, 2, 1. Got it.
Grabbing in 3, 2, 1. Grabbed it.
And then just go right away. I'm hitting instant. And remember, we are hitting
Break here. We have to break here. Broke left.
I have one.
I got
right.
back, I got back.
Shoot back right.
I'm all dead. All gone, all gone, all gone.
Once he's immune, back up to the right, look at your buff. Immune.
Move back right.
I have him.
I'm breaking back.
Left, left, left.
Breaking back left.
Good.
I might get to shoot them.
Get ready for next crystals. They might spawn. Be diligent. We're not there yet.
Come. Let's go.
Run.
Let's go. Let's go.
Team! That's my team!
I think the tractor was the issue
one.
there, Mac. I'm gonna be
the
honest.
jumping
go,
tractor.
Mom.
I found the loot.
Where, what portal did you go to?
The open one, I guess. I don't know.
Oh, I see what you're talking about. Okay, there's one down here. My bad.
I don't know how to describe it.